So this particular protein, and I'm not pushing any particular protein. I'm just, just when you look at the nutritional facts, it says it gives us 28 grams of protein per serving. Now the serving size is 35 grams, so don't make sure when you need a certain amount of grams, it's the grams of protein, not the serving size. Um, that number was calculated by something called a nitrogen test. Um, and here's what it does not tell you. And what no protein, I'll tell you, label is really required to tell you. It does not tell you the percentage of that 28 grams. When you see 28 grams, it'll tell you that the percentage of the 28 grams that the digestive system actually absorbs. Um, it doesn't tell you whether the amino acid profile contains enough of the right amino acids to trigger muscle protein synthesis. Does not tell you whether the dose is even sufficient to overcome, we'll call it age-related reduction in your muscle's ability to respond to protein, that develops, that age-related issue develops, over the age of 50. And for those of us over the age of 50, investing in resistance training and taking protein, the number that actually reaches and builds your muscles is one of the most practically important sort of nutrition facts um, that we need to know. And it's almost never really discussed in mainstream fitness content. Today, I'm going to take you through exactly what the research shows. So the gold standard of measuring protein quality is called the DIAS score, and it stands for Digital Indispensable Amino Acid Score. That's what it stands for. Was developed by United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization and measured how much out of your protein powder each amino acid is actually absorbed through the wall of the small intestine. That means it gets into your bloodstream. And a score above 1 is basically means that every amino acid is delivered above what your body requirement is. In a score below 1, the protein is limited in one of the more essential amino acids. Whey protein isolate, which this happens to be whey protein isolate, it has a DIAS score of 1.09. So that means it's actually above. So above the requirement of every essential amino acid. So that's very good. Something that had a DIAS score like 0.64, which I think like pea protein is like 0.64. That's significantly deficient. And so that would be a poor choice as a primary protein source. So both will actually say, if you look at a pea protein and a whey protein isolate, will give you the same 28 gram protein, but one has a DIAS score of 0.64, which means it's significantly deficient, especially if you're over the age of 50. Now, there are 4 factors that sort of feed into what your muscles actually receive. Factor 1 is digestibility, and that's measured, as we said already, by the DIAS score. Factor 2 is the leucine content, which is amino acid that pulls the trigger, if you will, in muscle protein synthesis. Research has established a threshold of 2.5 grams of leucine per meal, below which I would say MPS, we'll call it MPS, is muscle protein sensitive going forward. MPS is submaximally stimulated regardless of the total protein consumed. And whey isolate delivers 3 grams, right? So you're above that. Pea delivers pea proteins around 2, so it's below that threshold. And factor 3 is we'll call it absorption rate. And whey protein isolate peaks in your body bloodstream about 60 to 90 minutes, somewhere in there. And it produces a rapid leucine spike, really generates the strongest MPS signal. In fact, this factor 4 absorption rate is one of the, I would say, no one really talks about it for our age group, and it's important. Is anabolic resistance, which we'll get into later. So let me give you specific about, one of the questions directly. If your protein powder says 28 grams, how much reaches your muscles for building? For whey protein and an adult, it's to say over 60, which I'm getting close to. That 28 to 30 grams is truly we'll call it MPS available. So that accounts for like 87 to 92% digestibility, high leucine content, clearing the threshold of 2.5 grams, and the anabolic resistance factor, which we'll talk about based on your age. For pea protein, it's under the same exact conditions, 16 to 22 grams you'll see for pea protein. Is what's done. That's less than half of what you need. So, both products, will say 28 grams to 32 grams, but, the whey protein isolate far superior. So you need to really be using that if you're building muscle at our age, 50 to 80 age group. So anabolic resistance, this really is the most important concept for older folks as we're trying to build muscle. And this a Stanford study, and it was the Dr. Stuart Phillips found something every person around the age of 60 or approaching 60, and you're trying to actually build something real with muscle, found when they dosed a 70-year-old with 20 grams of protein after training, and a 25-year-old with 20 grams of protein after training. The 70-year-old, when they looked at the 20 grams of dose after training, had 0 impact on MPS. 0. The 25-year-old got the full effect for 20 grams of protein. So that was, I would say, startling, and probably one of the most startling findings in protein research in the last decade. And why this happened, why was the response absent for the 70-year-old? Why did the muscles really, stop responding to protein at that dose? It was called anabolic resistance, and it's the progressive decline of your muscles' sensitivity to the protein signal as you age. It's just the way it is. And it starts through your 50s, becomes meaningful in your 60s and 70s. But if you're getting close to 60, the same serving size of protein you took, in your younger years is not going to work. And you may be getting 0 if you're thinking 25 grams is sufficient at 60, 65. You may be getting 0. So you're not seeing any age-related information on the container. Okay, so you need to understand that impact. There is I would say for an 180-pound individual, you probably need 0.4 grams per kilogram, somewhere in there. We'll talk about where all that information is later. So, and then lastly, which protein wins? We've sort of loosely discussed that. There was I believe it was a 2024 randomized study, which is good, a controlled trial published by American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, and directly compared whey, pea, and collagen protein in older males. And then, whey protein significantly resulted in much better MPS than any of the other proteins. So not slightly better, it was significantly better. So whey protein isolate wins across every dimension in the research, that the research measured. So, and as I said, it has the highest score, right? Whey protein isolate 1.09 means all the amino acids are delivered at or above what's needed to build muscle. Has the highest leucine amino acid content. And so, the pea, rice protein, all these other proteins don't deliver that. Okay. So really, I would advocate whey protein isolate. That's the clear winner. Specifically for adults over the age of 50, where anabolic resistance means the dose and quality measurements, you need a whey protein isolate. Clear, research supported choice. So lastly, but not all whey protein isolates are created equal. Two things matter beyond, we'll say, the DIAS score, the digestibility score. First, you have a grass-fed choice, which you'll see here. That's a grass-fed choice. And grass-fed whey proteins contain higher levels of what are called bioactive peptides, better omega-3 profile, and higher concentrates of vitamin A and vitamin E compared to conventional whey. Okay, that's grass-fed. Second, cold processed. And you won't see that necessarily sometimes on the container, but cold processed is the other key factor. And there was I think Gatorade Sports Science specifically noted that heating milk protein caused glycation. We've talked about that before, reducing the capacity to available lysine. So cold processed or cold filtered whey preserves we'll say the native protein structures, and that the heat processing can damage. All right, so grass-fed and cold compressed are the two things you want there. That's what you want to look for at your label. Protein content. Ooh. Hey, I'm back. Protein content, 25 grams, is really what you want to be per serving, is what you want. So that's important. All right. Oh, my God. Sorry, folks. Having problems here. So to close out here, we've gone through this pretty extensively for adults over 50, investing in strength training, what's important on the label. So this, I would say the research that we've discussed, all of this is available on our website, gettingolderandstronger.com, completely free. There's a link in the description. You could subscribe. We'll be doing more and more, we'll say, articles of research on getting older and stronger. Drop a comment. Tell me the protein you're currently using and how much per serving you're getting out of it. I read every comment and respond. So subscribe to the channel. More to come. And I hope you got some beneficial information on this on protein.